Hey guys, so today you are going to follow along with me. Mrs. Brown couldn't be in class today, so you're going to follow along like we are in class together. If you had any questions after checking your answer key for number 1A through D, make sure you pop into extra help tomorrow morning at 9:30 and check it out with me. Okay. All right. So we're going to start on number 2 for class today. Given the system shown below to do the following. So we're on page 225. We're continuing our work in the fluency. So we have y equals 1/2 x minus 2 and y equals negative 3x plus 5. Why don't you pause the video now and solve this system graphically? Pause the video, graph the two lines, and then play it to go over the answers. Okay, so we've graphed our two lines. We have y equals 1/2 x minus 2 right here. Okay, the y-intercept is negative 2, slope being rise 1, run 2, rise 1, run 2. Here we have our intercept at 5. We're going down 3, running 1, so negative 3 over 1 is our slope. They cross at the coordinate 2, negative 1. So right here is the correct solution for this system. Well, now they want us to solve this system by substitution. So remember, our first step is to see what variable is alone. Well, in this equation, y is all alone on one side of the equal sign. And in this equation, y is all alone on one side of the equal sign. So remember the property of equality. If y equals y, then the two expressions that equal y are equal to one another. So we're substituting in for y, the first expression, and the second y, the second expression. And we put our balance beam in and we solve from here. Go ahead and pause your video, start solving your equation, and go ahead and play it when you're ready. Okay, so from here, we're going to add 3x's. I'm going to move those because then I'm going to have positive amounts over here for my coefficient. And I'll add my 2 to both sides. I'll get 3.5 x's equaling 7. I'm going to divide by 3.5. And hopefully you know that x equals 2. 7 divided by 3.5 is 2. So now we're going to use one of the equations to plug back in. We have y equals 1/2 x minus 2. Again, it doesn't matter which equation you pick. We have y equals 1/2 times 2 minus 2. Y equaling, typing that into my calculator, I get negative 1. So again, I've solved that 2, negative 1 is the xy value, the xy solution for this system. Okay, we're going to turn to the next page when you're ready, page 226, and we're going to start on number 4. Number 4, we have a rectangle that has a perimeter of 42 feet. Its length L is 3 feet more than twice its width, W. Create an equation in terms of L and W for the perimeter of the rectangle. Okay. Well, what I like to do is draw a rectangle, but we already have one, so that's good news. Well, the visual is already there for us. I also like to say to myself, okay, if this is the length and this is the width, well, then I know that this is also the length and this is also the width. So I kind of like double label everything just for myself, okay? Remember that perimeter is where we add up all the sides of the rectangle. So the equation of the perimeter would be L plus L, or 2 lengths, plus 2 widths equals, it says the perimeter is 42 feet. So there's our equation for our perimeter. Create an equation that relates L and W based on the length being 3 feet more than twice the width. So this is the other clue they're giving us. Its length L is 3 feet more than twice its width. Go ahead and pause the video, try to write that equation, and then hit play to go over it with me. Okay, so right here, this little word is, that means you're equals, just like it has a perimeter of. So it's saying it's equal to 42 feet. So L equals 3 feet more than twice the width. So 2W plus 3. You could have also written 3 plus 2W. Either way would be fine. Mrs. McIntosh would tell you that this is the most proper way, and she's right. Okay, solve the system of equations that you just created by substitution to find the values of the length and the width. So again, they're giving us a big hint that we're substituting in. I don't think the Regents will do this for you. You have to be able to figure out which way you're going to solve it, but here we go. So I'm looking at the two equations, and I see that this equation has L all alone on one side. So I'm going to take 2W plus 3, and I'm going to plug it in here for L. So we'll have 2 times, instead of saying L, I'm replacing it with 2W plus 3 plus 2W equals 42. So looking at my new equation, the purpose of it was to get one variable instead of 2 different variables. So now I have all W's. Okay, let's go ahead and solve it. So distribute it, combine like terms. Go ahead and finish solving. If you want to go all the way after you solve for the width and find the length, then press play again. You are more than welcome to, but pause the video, solve it out, and then hit play when you're ready to go over it. Okay, so distributing, we should have 4W plus 6, 2 times 2W, 2 times 3, plus the 2W comes down equals 42. Adding, combining like terms, we get 6W plus 6 equals 42. Now that it's nice and neat and clean, we can move our 6 over. We have 6W equaling 36, dividing both sides by 6. We get W equals 6, so I have a width of 6. Taking the length equals 2W plus 3. It's just the easier equation to use to substitute back in. We will have 2 times the width, so 2 times 6 plus 3. The length equals 15. Okay, so now we can say the length is 15 feet, and the width is 6 feet. Bubble cloud, our answer. Any questions? Oh, wait, we're on a video. All right, go ahead up to number 3 when you're ready. And we're going to talk about water tanks and water flow, okay? Water is flowing from tank number 1 to tank number 2 as shown in the picture. Originally, tank number 1 has 1,540 gallons in it, and tank number 2 has 236 gallons in it. Water is draining out of tank number 1 at a rate of 6 gallons per minute, and thus filling tank number 2 up at a rate of 6 gallons per minute. Write an equation for each tank that models the volume of water, V in gallons, as a function of the number of minutes, M, that the water has been flowing. So let's go back into our problem and start labeling some stuff into our picture. So tank number 1 starts with 1,540 gallons. And tank number 2 starts with 236 gallons. Okay, so those are our original amounts. Tank number 2 is losing water, or tank number 1 is losing water at 6 gallons per minute. So that would be a minus. And tank number 1 is adding that same water at 6 gallons per minute. So that would be a plus. So why don't we pause the video for a minute? You try to write these equations and then press play when you're ready to go over what they should look like. Okay, so tank number 1, the total volume in the tank, the total amount of V, should be 1,540 minus 6 times the number of minutes that the tank is open for. You could have also written V equals negative 6M plus 1,540. Okay, over here, our total amount of volume is 236 initial plus 6 times M. And again, you could have also written positive 6M plus 236. So now we want to know, how long does it take to the nearest minute for the 2 tanks to have the same amount, same number of gallons? Will it take shorter, longer, or shorter than 2 hours? Justify. So let's answer one question at a time. Find out how long it takes to the nearest minute for the 2 tanks to have the same number of gallons. When we hear same number of gallons, that's equal in mathematics. Just a very fancy way of saying equal. So we need to set those 2 equations equal to one another, meaning when is negative 6M plus 1,540 going to equal 6M plus 236? When will the rates equal out? So let's go ahead and set up that equation, put your balance beam in, solve it, pause the video, solve it, press play when you're ready to go over it. Okay, so after solving the problem for the number of minutes, I have 108.6 repeating minutes. Remember on your calculator, when there's a 7 at the end of the sequence of 6s, it's not really a 7. Your calculator rounds it up. So the number off the screen is rounding up the last number on the screen. So 0.6 repeating is a really awkward looking answer for minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that the fraction form so hopefully by now you know that 0.6 repeating is 2/3. So the number of minutes is 108 and 2/3 minutes. Okay. And it wanted to know to the nearest minute. So we would round that to the nearest whole minute, which is 109 minutes. Okay. Will it take longer or shorter than 2 hours? It will take less than 2 hours because 2 hours is 120 minutes. And we only went for 109 minutes to get the flow to be, the amount of volume to be exactly the same. Okay. All right. So if you want to hang around for a minute, I am going to go over your homework 1A through D right now. But if you feel good and you want to go start your jam, do it up. I will see you guys tomorrow at 9:30 if you want to come for extra help. If not, then Thursday, the minute we start class, we are starting our quiz. Okay. All right. So if you wanted to go over this homework, let's take a look at letter 1A. We have 2 equations that both have y alone. So again, that equality, y equaling y, we can set both sides of that, both of those expressions that are equal to y, equal to each other, and solve from there. Okay, so we get x equals 3 here. Now, in order to find the other value, so remember, we're always solving for a combination. We have an x and a y. We've solved for the x. We can put that into our solution. Now we have to solve for the y. We can just pick one of these equations. I think the first one looks a little easier, so I'm just going to pick that one. But again, either equation works. I'm going to substitute in my answer for x. And I'm going to solve for the y value, which is 11. So I can put that into my solution set, and there we go. Again, I can check my point by substituting both values into both equations and see if they're true. So let's see. If I have 11 equals 3 plus 8, 11 equals 11. That is true. I have 11 equaling 4 times 3 minus 1. 11 equals 12 minus 1, which is 11. That is true as well. So I know that my solution works for both equations. Okay, let's take a look at letter B. So for letter B, we have y equaling negative 3x plus 5, and then 2x plus y equals 6. There's only one equation here that has a variable all alone, and saying that y equals all of this. So y equals all of that. So in this next equation, where I see the y, I'm going to substitute in that whole entire expression. I should have put a rectangle around it. So instead of writing y, next time I write this equation, I'm going to write the expression that was in the rectangle. So 2x plus negative 3x plus 5 equals 6. Now this plus sign does not affect anything inside here. So really we have 2x minus 3x, which is negative 1x, and then positive 5 equaling 6. And I can solve from here. So I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides. I get negative 1x equals 1, divide out by negative 1, x equals negative 1. So again, in my solution, the xy value, I have that negative 1 is my x. Now I have to find my y. So I'm going to use that first equation again because y is all alone. Be a little bit easier to solve. Negative 3 times my answer for x, negative 1, plus 5. We get y equals 3 plus 5, so y equals 8. Again, putting that in my solution set and a bubble cloud. Questions? Okay, let's go down to letter C. All right. Again, I think I just keep saying answers as a habit or questions. All right, so here we have y equals x minus 4 being our isolated variable. So the x minus 4 is going to be subbed in right here. Notice that there's a 3 in front of it. So this time it's 3 times that whole expression. So we have 4x plus 3 times x minus 4 equals 37. So the only thing that changed in this equation was that y value. The 4x, the plus sign, the 3, the equals 37 all stayed the same. So you put your balance beam in and you solve from here. distribute, combine like terms, additive property of equality, multiplicative property of equality, and x equals 7. So again, putting that in our solution set, and now plugging in for the other variables. So y equals x minus 4, y equals 7 minus 4, y equals 3. So putting that in my solution set, bubble cloud. Okay, and again, always able to check my answers. Let's take a look at D. So the only one that's alone here is y. So y equals all that. Up here, we're going to plug in there. Notice that a negative 5 is in front of it, so we're distributing a negative 5. So when we rewrite this equation, the only thing that changes is the y value. The y value now becomes negative 2x plus 1. Putting in that balance beam, let's distribute through. So we have negative 5 times negative 2x, negative 5 times negative 1. Combine like terms. Again, dividing out, we get x equals negative 4. So using that, I can't believe each time we solve for the x first. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have to solve for the y first and then go back and solve for the x. Okay, plugging into one of the equations and solving out, I get 8 plus 1. So y equals 9. Okay, so negative 4, 9 is our solution to the system. All right, I hope that helped, seeing it visually if you were struggling. Again, extra help's at 9:30 tomorrow. I'll see you then.